The term culture originates from the Latin word cultivate. Communities are generally made up of people who share cultural characteristics. These cultural characteristics are defined by various influences, including geographical, spiritual, and agricultural considerations. Certain cultures impose distinct limitations or boundaries that make them unique. The purpose of this program is to introduce you to the most interesting and unique cultures from around the world. Crete. Its ancient culture traces back through long forgotten civilizations. Crete is renowned also for its excellent olive oil, which is considered to be among the best in the world. In our first stopover, we will discover the secrets of this mystical island, wherein lies both an admirable history and a boisterous life force. We'll examine in great detail life in La Malera, a quaint village on an Indonesian island, where the culture of life is orbited by traditional whale hunting and spiritual rituals. Crete, the second largest island in the Aegean Sea. Its landscape is replete with contrasts. The Mediterranean climate ensures that the lowlands are a lush green, while snowcaps cover the highest peaks. The very first written records that speak of Crete originate from the 18th century BC. Other references can be found in the Bible. Crete's pleasant Mediterranean climate has been attracting settlers and those engaged in agriculture since the beginning of recorded history. With its lovely beaches, romantic out-islands, and rich history, Crete attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors each summer. 80% of the islanders' income revolves around the summer tourism season. However, winter is a different story. Hotels and beaches become deserted. Though life does go on during the winter months, the resorts become ghost towns. The citizens of Crete use this time to focus on their lives and their traditions. Olive trees thrive on the island as a result of the Mediterranean climate. Olive orchards stretch in all directions. It is these trees that gave the world virgin olive oil. The olive oil from Crete is considered among the best in the world. The harvest takes place during the winter months. It may seem that olive picking is done rather carelessly, but fear not. Olive trees are known for their hardy quality. An olive tree may live as long as 200 years. There are so many olive trees on Crete, each year, every family presses tens of liters of their very own olive oil. Once the harvest is over, the olives are poured into a press where a special pulp is made. These days, most islanders use modern electric presses. It's a rare day that you find a traditional stone press driven by donkeys in use. The donkeys do not work a full day of circling in order to propel the olive press. They will only do this work for about an hour and a half a day. Once the olives are pressed, the farmers place the resulting puree into special jute sacks, which are then placed into a human-driven press. It is at this stage that the world-famous virgin olive oil starts dripping. Parts of milk from sheep and goats. Over 600,000 permanent inhabitants live on the island of Crete. The towns are built on places of strategic importance, where ancient civilizations had their fortresses. The island is situated between Europe, Asia, and Africa. As a result, Crete has always been an object of interest by the surrounding military powers. When the ruling Minoan civilization fell, Crete was alternately ruled by Greeks, the Byzantine Empire, Italians, and Turks. When walking through the towns, the trained eye can easily observe the turbulent history obvious in the architecture. The Cretans viciously rebelled during the 300 years of Turkish rule. In 1770, a Crete native became the hero of the resistance movement. His name was Daskalogyanis. He became the very soul of the rebellion against the Turks, an action he paid dearly for, as he was publicly skinned alive as a warning to other would-be rebel leaders. The Cretans are not only passionate about their freedom, but also about their traditional cultural values. The Sirtos dance is a venerable tradition on the island. It is performed by the Tasfakia group. Its origins trace all the way back to the Minoan civilization. Historians agree that aspects of Minoan religious ritual are apparent in these 4,000-year-old dance steps, which still today happens to be the most popular form of dance on the island of Crete. Men use the dance to prove their agility, while women put a greater emphasis on their expression. History is projected through all aspects of cultural life. The setting sun denotes the time for choral singing. The melody may at first come across as sad or even mournful. It isn't necessarily so. The lyrics are often joyous. It all depends on the occasion. Here, celebration revolves around the simple fact that good friends have come together. No major celebration can be considered complete without songs, and during a wedding celebration, the songs become very complicated. Wedding songs called rizitiki are in the form of a dialogue between the parties supporting the bride and groom. The relatives and friends of the groom thank the other side for the lovely and well-brought-up bride. And from the other end, the supporters of the bride sing of what an honor it is to entrust the bride to such a great man. Upon the conclusion of the singing, the bride, accompanied by all the women from her family, will perform a traditional dance. Men wishing to dance with the bride must wait their turn. Each man must pay for the privilege to have a dance with the bride. The collected money is then used to pay for the musicians. Today, they only collected about 1,000 euros, a relatively small amount by traditional Cretan wedding customs. When the bride has concluded her dance, it is the groom's turn. all his family and friends join him in his dance, paying for the dance in a lump sum. No celebration would really be complete without some rakia. It is a homemade alcoholic beverage made from grapes. A glass of rakia serves to welcome the guests, but is equally important after a good meal, to aid in digestion. According to the locals, no Cretan household would be complete without a few bottles of rakia in a cupboard. Cretans will easily distill and consume over 50 liters of rakia. They use the flames of the fire to check the strength and the quality of the freshly made spirit. In the town of Rethymno, everyday life is given an annual jolt of excitement when the carnival comes to town. It is the largest carnival in Crete and the second largest in the whole of Greece. Among the activities, you'll see a procession consisting of 10,000 masked marchers and over 50 special floats. The students of Rethymno are quite prominent and make up the more daring ensembles that can be seen. However, most of the floats and musical bands appearing here have been sent on. Let us bid farewell to Crete, the island of snow-capped peaks, olive orchards, and an uninhibited populace that has survived for thousands of years, living their traditions to the fullest. In just a moment, we will be on the other side of the world, visiting an Indonesian village called Lamalera. The sun is slowly rising above the Java Sea. Flores is one of the 18,000 Indonesian islands. The port town of Larantuka is waking up to another busy day. Just as in the times of the imperialist Portuguese and Dutch, the port is busy with goods of all sorts. Today, however, the most common commodity isn't exotic spice. It is motorcycles. Larantuka is a strategic crossroad between all the islands of the lesser Sunda archipelago. It is also the only place from which you can reach the island of Lambata. However, our final destination is the village of Lamalera, where we are headed to observe a unique community of whale hunters. Compared to Lambata, Flores is very busy and lively. In the Bay of Lamalera, it is almost as if time stands still. Don't be misled by the sleepy ambience. The natives are about to go hunting. In this part of the world, the tradition of fishing has remained unchanged for 800 years. The natives are proud of their ancestors. Over the centuries, they have used the same ancient designs and techniques to build their whale hunting boats. As soon as the boat reaches the open sea, it is time to sharpen the blade of the harpoon, which is then tied to a rope attached to a bamboo rod. Due to the rather primitive techniques used, the hunters can only manage to catch whatever travels near the water's surface. They wait for the moment when the fin of a shark, a ray, an orca, a dolphin, or the most praised catch of all, a blue whale appears. It can take seemingly endless hours. The hunters will use the time to maintain their hunting gear and smoke cigarettes made from black tobacco. They like to improve the taste and aroma of these smokes by adding cloves. Despite the hunters' incredible patience and perseverance, today is not a lucky day. An unsuccessful hunt means dire times for the villagers. The sea is the main source of sustenance for the locals. They can only manage minimal farming as the land is infertile. Therefore, the staple of their diet is fish. Instead of wheat, they will make flatbread from cassava or manioc. Everyday life in La Malera is plain and very simple. The natives must find creative ways of how to do such trivial things as dishwashing. Instead of soap, they use ash to wash pots and pans. Strange, but effective. In the late afternoon, the fishermen meet on the beach. While sipping palm wine, they talk of times when whales were plentiful and it was not uncommon for each man to have caught at least one whale every year. It is the equivalent of meeting your fellow workers in the local pub. But here, peacefully playing children are allowed to be on the beach while the men have their meeting. The sun sets over La Malera. At this most important part of the day, the men engage in a ritual meant to solicit the help of their ancestors in an effort to ensure a successful hunt on the following day. The palm wine is plentiful. It is used in a curious interaction between Christianity and ancient ritual traditions. The ceremony begins with a bow to the portrait of the Virgin Mary. A nighttime pilgrimage through the village, which will be followed by a sojourn to the sacred Whale Rock. Here, the sacrificial part of the ritual takes place. For these natives, nature takes on a special spiritual dimension. According to their animistic tradition, the spirits of the ancestors remain in the rocks, lakes, rivers, and trees. The blending of two different faiths is commonplace for the natives. Here, it is not unusual to see ancestral beliefs combined with elements of Christianity. The local Catholic Church offers regular Mass and thus ensures the well-being of the local Christian population. Christianity enjoys widespread respect on La Malera. Legend has it that long ago, Father Bodhi, in a time of great poverty, blessed the fishing lines, and the following day, the hunters returned with a big catch. And so Father Bodhi linked the whale hunting culture with Christianity. A statue of him honoring his perceived miracles has been built outside the church. Today, the children in La Malera have an opportunity to understand the world from a whole new perspective. The school day begins with a collective prayer and singing. The students are checked in by the headmaster as they greet him. Today, the headmaster and students will discuss the issue of misdemeanors by a few students. Then, they learn of the day's teaching plan. But before the day goes too far, the students will water the school garden. This reinforces for the children the concept of being responsible for the environment. The subjects taught here are not unlike those we knew from our own school days: history, English, and algebra. The hope is that these children will have the opportunity to find success in life outside of La Malera. Meanwhile, hoping for better luck this time, their fathers have set sail once again. It seems as though the evening prayers have been answered. Dolphin will be on the menu today. Their hunting technique requires great patience and precision. As soon as the target is sighted and their harpoon is ready, the hunter hurls himself into the sea. Often, it is a matter of life or death. In stark contrast to commercial fishing, where dolphin are frequently processed together with tuna, the natives are not that indiscriminate. They only hunt what they can eat. It is their only means of survival. The hunt was a success, and grateful hunters return home. Before processing their catch, it is necessary to secure their boat. In this most important endeavor, the children also lend a helping hand. The entire village plays a part in processing the dolphin. Every morsel of the animal is utilized. The meat is divided among the families according to a traditional hierarchy. La Malera, a harmonious symphony blending life, tradition, and nature from which the natives take only what they need to survive. These fundamental values are passed on to the next generation so as to maintain the legacy of their ancestors. In today's episode, we discovered two entirely different cultures from two different parts of the world. But Crete and La Malera do have one thing in common. Throughout millennia, both cultures revere wisdom and the legacy of their ancestors. Next time, we will visit the Arabian Peninsula, where we will traverse the Holy Land, including the mystical city of Jerusalem. Afterwards, we will go to the Persian Gulf to Bahrain, the tiny kingdom rich in history, traditions, and considerable mineral wealth.